Those of you that I've spoken to before, you know I tend to get a little underwhelmed about things. So, but no, seriously, I am Yvette Lewis, and I was an Obama organizing fellow with David and Ashish during the summer. And at the last meeting, I think that we had, I talked to you about my concern as to how we are not keeping the energy level up to where it should be. My concern is that the passion seems to have flickered out a little bit. Part of it could be because we were just so high at the point of the election that there was a natural coming down. But I think you saw with the elections in New Jersey and in Virginia, you can't afford to come down, because when you do, you get caught flat-footed. So what I wanted to do was find a way to keep people excited and energized and motivated to want to be involved. And I thought about maybe having a rapid response team. Since we talked about that, several people have taken that name, and they say imitation is the highest form of flattery, so we are all very flattered today. But what I do want to say to all of you is that rapid response is all-encompassing. Everybody has a way of responding rapidly. But my way, the way that I think that we should be concerned about, is making sure that we respond to lies and falsehoods and misrepresentations. That's rapid response to me. And it is not leaving a story to hang in the air for 6 hours before we get around to fixing it or correcting it. And the fact that people even had to ask today, you know, what are the accomplishments? That speaks volumes to me. We should know that. We should be able to recite that like the ABCs. Exactly. You know, that should be second nature. Exactly. That should be second nature to us. We should know what the accomplishments are. So, as Rapid Response Maryland grows and develops, that will be part of our mission. So one of the things, Denny and I got together and we thought that the most exciting part about the campaign was we had stuff to do. And right now we haven't had anything to do. So I'm going to give you something to do and give you a way to feel like you really are contributing in that way that you just spoke about, at doing something more than phone banking. So we've set up some teams that we thought would be valuable resources for us, and I'm going to give this to you, and at the end of the meeting I'd like for us to try to decide which team you want to be a part of, get into groups and talk to your group and see how you can make this whole rapid response team work. So what we thought about was a research team. I held a healthcare meeting in Prince George's County back in June. David and I did together.
It was amazing.
We had
135 people thrilling.
On a Saturday afternoon. And
nobody wanted to go home.
No, they stayed until 6. It was supposed to be over at 4, and finally I had to say my feet hurt. You've got to go home. But it was so invigorating for all of us, because that showed me that if you give people a mission, if you give them something to do, especially when Barack Obama's name is associated with it, people will still come. They will still come. So we need to give everybody something to do. So we thought about teams. At my meeting, I gave everyone one of these, and I have copies. This is a list of U.S. state, county, and local elected officials, phone numbers, email addresses, how to get in touch with CNN, how to get in touch with MSNBC, how to get in touch with Fox, so that you have this information available to you. When you hear that foolishness, you pick up the phone and you call. So we need a research team who can put this kind of stuff together for us, helpful reference material, congressional contact information, newspaper contacts, website and blog contacts, and make that information available to the entire group. Then we need monitors, people to monitor the newspapers and the blogs. For example, I love Maureen Dowd, but she was not very nice to our president this morning. She really wasn't. Now, Rapid Response needs to send a letter to the New York Times to say, wait a minute, hold up a second, this is what he's done. She said his whole agenda is dither, 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 speech, photo op, overseas tour, dither, dither. Well, see, if we had a list of accomplishments, that's what goes in a letter to the editor, to the New York Times. That's what Rapid Response needs to do. That letter should have already been written. That letter should have already been written and sent up to the New York Times. So that's the kind of thing that we need people to monitor, the blogs and the newspapers, and when this stuff comes out, you let people know this is how we need to respond. We need people to monitor cable and talk radio and Sunday talk shows, so that when we hear something, we activate the team and we send out, we start calling. A couple of weeks ago when there was the Fort Hood shooting, Joe Scarborough, who drives me insane, Joe Scarborough was talking about, he was beating up on the president about the bill vote that was going to come on Saturday. And so I called MSNBC at 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, give me a break. You know, we need to be honoring these soldiers that just lost their lives. Well, let me tell you what happened. The receptionist even agreed with me. She said, you're absolutely right. Usually they put me through to a recording. She actually put me through to his producer. And I said, enough, give it a rest. And within 30 minutes, I'm not saying I did it, but I'll take credit for it. Within 30 minutes, he changed and started talking about the Fort Hood shootings, which is what we should have been talking about. The next thing we thought about was template creators. I mean, everybody may have ideas, but say, okay, write a letter to the editor. Well, I don't know how to write a letter. Well, if we give you a format and you just plug in what you need to say within this format of this will get your letter notice. These are the buzz points you want to hit to get your letter notice. So we might have a team to create these templates for us, or even create scripts for us to use when we call into these talk shows around certain issues, so that we're ready at a moment's notice to respond when something happens. We need a contact tree. And that would be just a team who maintain the database. And when the word goes out to the contact team, you call the 4 or 5 people, okay, this is what's happened, this is how we need you guys to respond. And then you get on it and you start working on it. I'd like to see an editorial team, and that would be the team that signs off on stuff before we send it out. We don't want to send stuff out with bad grammar and misspelling, and we don't want people going rogue. Because we want to be sure that the message gets picked up in a positive way and doesn't reflect negatively on the president because of something that we've done that might be inappropriate. Yes, we are all passionate, but we can't call them all names in things that we write. We have to be very diplomatic in what we say. There should be a message alert team, and that's the team. When our stuff gets picked up, call. Let everybody know where to look for it, so we know that our stuff really is making a difference. And Hill and state monitors, a group that will sign up to receive the daily communications from Steny Hoyer, from Barbara Mikulski, from our people, so that we know what's going on the Hill, and then we can anticipate how the other side is going to attack it, and then we have our response ready. I am just so tired, as I told you at the last meeting, of reacting. I am so tired of reacting. I'm ready to act. I'm ready for them to react to us. I'm ready for them to be put on the defensive. You know what I mean? That's just the way I feel about it. Seriously. I mean, how easy would it have been just to say, for that debate, all of that foolishness that went on yesterday around just a debate, why are the Republicans so afraid to talk? Why are they so afraid to debate? Are they afraid that if they debate, the thing that will happen with this bill is the same thing that happened with public option? You see, because as people found out more and more about public option, what happened? Opinions started to change, didn't it? All of that drama from the August meetings is all gone away because people talked. Well, that's what the Republicans are afraid of. Do you realize that understanding is their biggest enemy? They are so afraid of you understanding things. So it is up to us to find a way to help them understand, and immediately pushing back in ways that maybe our elected officials can't do, immediately pushing back and saying enough of this. I think this is something that has the potential not only to be wonderful here in Maryland, but something that can grow all around this country. And we want to work with OFA, but maintain a certain amount of independence only because we can say things that they may not be able to say. They may be thinking it, but they can't say it. So we want to work together, but make sure that, we have that independence, so that when we have to call Michael Smerconish, and somebody's got to do Fox, and somebody's got to do that stuff, and I think that should be a fairly large team, because someone's head will explode if they have to listen to that on a regular basis, if you know what I mean. But those are the kinds of things that I really want us to start thinking about. And if you are so inclined, please consider joining a team today. And I have sheets here with the information. So I think this can be a really exciting venture for all of us, a way for all of us to stay involved and connected, and a way for us to bring other people in. People want something to do. I promise you, you give them something to do, they will come. They won't come to stand around and just socialize. Times are too serious for that. We have jobs to do, and the only way our president is going to be a two-term president is if we man up and do the job. Thank you.